Childhood and Growing Up. Welcome back students to our channel Study with AVAI. In this lecture we will start with a new subject which is childhood and growing up. Those who are new to this channel, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon for instant notification. So without further ado, let's begin with our table of contents. By the end of this lecture you will be able to understand all the topics below. So let's begin with our first topic, which is growth. Meaning of growth. By growth we mean physical changes. The changes that take place in any part of the body are known as growth. The increase in height of the child, his mass, width and his weight are the results of growth. The size of the child's hands and feet is increasing. He is growing in height. His weight is increasing. There are proportionate changes occurring in his physical structure. All these statements reveal the meaning of growth. L.K. Frank, 1944, has said, "The changes that occur in any physical aspect are known as growth." Herbert Sorensen, 1948, has likened growth to increase in body and weight. As the child grows in age, his physical structure and weight increase. This growth continues till the end of adolescence. Herlock, 1956, has said that changes in physical structure, dimensions and measurement take place as the child grows. In simple words, changes in the physical structure, size and dimensions result from growth. When the child enters adolescence, the size of his hands and legs grows. We call it growth of the size of the child's hands and legs. Physical growth is the mark of quantitative changes. Growth is perceivable and measurable. After the attainment of maturation, the height, the width, the weight etc. stop increasing. According to A.T. Jersild, 1957, in the beginning, the pace of the child's growth is fast, and as it grows towards maturation the pace of physical growth becomes slower, and after having attained maturity the growth stops. Hence, it is clear that the changes that occur in the physical structure, size and dimensions are called growth. Moving on with development. Meaning of development. Development has a wider connotation than growth. The overall changes that come about in the child are called development. Development is not confined to physical growth. Growth is only a part of development. Development marks the advent of qualitative changes in the child. Development does not result only in the growth of the size of the child's hands and feet but also betokens their efficient workability and function. The children perform the functions better and more easily than their counterparts or when they were younger than are developed in a greater measure. In simple words, development implies progress. It implies gradual growth of something so that it becomes more advanced, stronger etc. Thus development takes the child towards qualitatively greater progress than growth does. The child develops new capabilities as a result of development. Development does not imply growth of a particular part of the body or a change in one particular aspect of behavior, but it implies the overall changes that come about in the child. The changes caused by the process of development are qualitative in nature and cannot be measured. They can, however, be assessed through keen observation or experience. Moving on with general principles of growth and development. Principles of growth and development. The process of growth and development begins with the perception of the child. Both the processes go together till the child is born and attains adulthood. Growth stops in adulthood and the process of development proceeds non-stop. In this context, psychologists have propounded many theories. These are mentioned from the next slide. 1. Principle of continuity. The process of development is a lifelong process and goes on non-stop. This process begins with conception and goes on continuously all through life. The pace of development is not consistent in all children. For example, the physical and mental qualities of the child don't develop all of a sudden. The linguistic development of the child does not take place overnight. The child learns to speak gradually over a period of time. Therefore, development is a continuous process. Life begins as a result of fertilization of two cells, i.e. sperm and ovum, and thus a fertilized egg or ovum is formed. This fertilized egg, zygote, after experiencing various changes, becomes a human being and moves towards other aspects of development. In this way the process of development continues slowly and continuously. But it is to be made clear here that the process of this development does not remain consistent in terms of continuity. Various ups and downs occur in it also. This principle also clarifies that any change does not occur suddenly or at once. The change which appears today has started occurring some time earlier. 2. Principle of uniform pattern. Uniformity is seen in the process of development besides too many individual differences. But his uniformity exists in the context of development. For example, language development in children occurs within a certain definite sequence, to whatever country these children belong. The physical development of these children will take place in a definite sequence. This development starts from the head. In this way, we can see that the differences in the pace of development of the children may occur, but their uniformity in the sequence of development will exist. Similarly, we see that the milk teeth of the children fall at first and others fall afterwards. Hence, the development of the members of the same race occurs in a definite sequence or pattern. 3. Principle of individual differences. Psychologists give much importance to the principle of individual differences. The developmental process has been divided into different stages, and each stage has different characteristics, and due to these differences, their behaviors experience differences in each age group. According to this principle, these exist in each child. Individual differences occur at different stages of development. Each child grows at his own unique pace and has an individual aspect of his development. Two children at the same age will have individual physical, mental, emotional and social differences in their development. Each dimension of the children's development has some specific characteristics that distinguish one child from the other. Individual differences can be seen even in the twins also. Hence, all people have their growth and development at their own natural pace. Some characteristics or behavior develop earlier while some develop afterwards. Hence, we can see the individual differences in them. All the children don't have similarity in the context of growth and development. 4. Principle of joint product of heredity and environment. Development is a combination of heredity and environment. Heredity and environment are complementary to each other. The genes and the chromosomes inherited by the zygote, the fertilized ovum of the mother, at the time of conception determine the making of the child, and the environment contributes to his development. These two factors, heredity and environments, complement each other and are the determining factors of the child's social, moral and intellectual life. Development is possible when heredity and environment combine. Neither on its own alone can ensure development of the child. Various studies have proved that heredity and environment definitely affect the growth and development of the child. The effect of both of them cannot be separated. Heredity is considered as the foundation of the child's personality. 5. Principle of total development. The development of the human body occurs as a whole. The development of the various aspects of human personality goes on occurring simultaneously, such as social, mental, physical, emotional development. It is also true that all the aspects depend upon the development of each other and are related to each other. From this point of view, the teacher should care about the development of all the aspects. 6. Principle of maturation and learning. In the process of growth and development, maturation and learning play a very important role. Maturation affects the growth and development, and these affected growth and development affect the learning process. A child acquires maturity for any task, but it is not essential that maturity would be appropriate for some other task also. Hence, the maturity level of the children also has differences. These differences or variations affect the learning process. For example, if a child is motivated to learn some task, but for that task, the child's physical development is not sufficient, then the child would be unable to learn that task. We should not expect more from that child. 7. Principle of developmental direction. The development of the child follows an orderly pattern. This pattern is of two kinds. I. Cephalocaudal sequence. This principle points towards development. According to the cephalocaudal sequence, the head of the child develops first of all the womb, followed by the trunk. Last of all develops the child's legs. In simple words, this means that the body parts farther from the head develop later. E. Proximo-distal sequence. According to this principle, the child's development follows proximo-distal sequence. This means that it proceeds from the center to the peripheral areas of the body. The first two are the fundamental muscles. Then develop the adjoining parts like the heart, the chest etc. Finally, the child develops control over the further parts of the body like legs, feet, fingers etc. In this way, the child develops in a proximo-distal sequence. Hence, the development proceeds in an orderly sequence. We can also say that in the embryonic stage, the head develops first, then the lower portion of the body. Similarly, first develops the spinal cord, then heart, chest etc. develop. 8. Principle of variation in the rate of growth and development. It has become clear from the several studies that the growth of the child proceeds rapidly in the early years. However, as the child advances towards maturation, the pace of growth slows down. There are various stages of growth and development. All those stages have different pace of growth and development, i.e., pace of growth and development is not uniform in those stages. During the initial stages, the rate of physical growth is faster but slows down later on. But then a stage comes when the growth ceases to occur. But qualitative development continues. 9. Principle of predictability of development. It has been proved by studies that development can be predicted. For example, it is possible to predict the child's intelligence, personality, interests, capabilities, capacities etc. 10. Principle of development from general to specific. According to this principle, the child learns initially general behavior, then gradually that general behavior advances towards specificity. For example, first of all the child tries to catch hold of the object and he uses his hands randomly to do so. But gradually he moves from generality to specificity. As a result of it he moves towards that object only when he wants to pick it up. 11. Principle of integration. According to this principle, the child first learns the use of the whole organ, then his specific parts. Then he learns to integrate those parts. For example, first of all the child moves his entire hand, then gradually he moves entire hand, then gradually he moves his fingers and then integrates the movements of entire hand and fingers. 12. Principle of cumulation and recapitulation. Development is cumulative. Experiences have a great importance in the process of development. The behavior is based on prior experiences. Experiences never lose their validity. They manifest in future behavior. Therefore, development is cumulative. The attributes of one stage are transferred into another stage, as for example, the self-love during infancy can be seen in adolescence also. In this way, development is cumulative. 13. Principle to think from concrete to abstract. According to this principle, a child tries to understand cause and effect. He thinks about the objects from concrete to abstract. 14. Principle of outer control to inner control. Small children depend on others for values and principles. As they grow up, their own value system, self-consciousness and their own set or group of internal control develops. 15. Principle of correlation. According to this principle, there is a correlation in the various dimensions of the child's growth and development. A child who is physically handicapped will also be socially handicapped. A child whose intellectual development is above average, his social development too will be above average. Moving on with educational implications of the principles of growth and development. It is very necessary for the parents and the teachers to know the principles of growth and development. Their importance in the educational field can be highlighted as below. 1. The knowledge of the principles of growth and development is very helpful for the teacher to understand the problems of the students. 2. This knowledge is also helpful in understanding the individual differences of the students. 3. The knowledge of the educational implications of the principles of growth and development can help the teacher in making a choice of the appropriate teaching methods. 4. The teacher can provide a free environment to the students on the basis of the knowledge of these principles. 5. The knowledge of the principles of growth and development is very useful in organizing various programs and activities in the school. 6. Whether the development of the students is taking place on path or not can be known through these principles. 7. The teacher can predict the behavior of the students on the strength of the knowledge of the principles of growth and development. In this way, the principles of growth and development make a significant contribution in the field of education. So now we completed all the topics in this lecture. If you have any doubts, please feel free to write down in the comments section. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. Take care.